He's tenured. He's very well loved by his students and his colleagues. This seems to be allegations that are very not in line with what the community and his friends and his family would believe.
In 2023, on the Saturday afternoon on Long Island, New York, a 22-year-old graduate student named Victoria Castle stood next to her older sister at her sister's wedding. She was a bridesmaid. She was, in every photograph from that day, radiant. Her sister was marrying a young man named Joseph Horner, a 24-year-old elementary school music teacher from the town of Oceanside on the south shore of Long Island. He was, by every account from the family that day, a good man. Steady, kind, adored by his students, the kind of man an older sister brings home and the younger sister approves of. Sometime that afternoon or in the days that followed, Victoria Castle went home and posted a photograph from the wedding to Facebook. She wrote a caption to go with it. The caption read, "My sister, my person, my partner in chaos, is now married to one of the most wonderful people in the world. I love you both forever." 3 years later, on the morning of Monday, June 29, 2026, in a small ground-floor apartment on North Oak Street in North Massapequa, Long Island, an apartment inside the same two-family house where her sister and Joseph Horner lived upstairs, Victoria Castle was strangled to death by her brother-in-law.
What just happened?
Ralph, the dinosaur went down the toilet.
I'm the culprit. I feel so bad. Oh no.
According to Nassau County prosecutors, he confessed to it before he had even been charged. He told police, sitting on the stoop of the house waiting for officers to arrive, that he had been sexually obsessed with his wife's younger sister since 2017, a year after he met her. He told them he had been carrying that obsession for 9 years. He told them his wife had gone away for the weekend to a bachelorette party. He told them he had asked Victoria to come upstairs and help him move a piano. He told them he had done to her once she was inside. He was, at the time of his arrest, 27 years old, a tenured elementary school music teacher. He was, at the time of his arrest, the person Victoria Castle had once publicly called one of the most wonderful people in the world. This is the case of Victoria Castle. Hey there, everybody, and welcome back. Today we are going to North Massapequa, on the south shore of Long Island in Nassau County, New York. A quiet suburban community of around 20,000 people, about 40 miles east of Manhattan. Tree-lined streets, small houses. A lot of them divided into two family homes, with an upstairs apartment for one household and a downstairs apartment for another. The kind of neighborhood where you know the family who lives on the other floor because they are, quite often, actual family. This is the case of a 25-year-old woman who lived downstairs from her own sister, thought she was safe there, and was not. A warning, before we go any further, this episode discusses a sexual assault and a killing carried out under the guise of a family favor. We will not be describing the specific details of the assault. We will reference the medical and legal findings only where they are necessary to understand the case. If any of this is difficult for you, please skip this episode and join us for the next one.
Okay, Ralph. Any last words? Any last words? The angels fly away.
Oh shit, we gotta go out
Oh
there.
shit. Okay, wait. Wait, the phone. There's a phone. Wait, Vic, we're getting this like the office. It's This is the wedding vlog. This is the wedding vlog.
Oh, we went the wrong way.
Go.
Paul. Where's Paul? No Paul? All right, Paul's out. All right, listen tight, guys. Right here.
Michaela threw.
Victoria Castle was 25 years old. She had grown up on Long Island. Her family called her Vic. She had spent her 20s doing something extraordinary, pursuing a doctorate in the Geosciences at Stony Brook University, one of the flagship research campuses of the State University of New York. She was studying geology. She was working as a research assistant. She was, by every professional and personal measure, thriving. Stony Brook officially confirmed her enrollment in the days after her death, calling her a valued member of the university community. The Department of Geosciences at Stony Brook is one of the strongest in the Northeast United States. Getting into the doctoral program in that department is not easy. Staying in it is harder. Victoria Castle was doing both. She had one older sister. The two of them were, by every public account from Victoria herself, close. She used to call her sister her person, her partner in chaos. That last phrase, partner in chaos, is the one Victoria used in the Facebook post at her sister's wedding in 2023. It is the phrase that comes back 3 years later in a way she could not possibly have imagined it would. In the years leading up to Victoria's death, the two sisters were, in practical terms, living in the same house, not the same apartment. The same house, a two-family structure at 285 North Oak Street in North Massapequa, split into an upstairs unit and a ground floor unit. Joseph Horner and Victoria's older sister lived upstairs. Victoria lived downstairs. She could see her sister every day. She could knock on the door if she needed anything. She was, in one of the most literal senses possible, home with family. That kind of living arrangement is common on Long Island. It is common in a lot of American immigrant and working families. It is, culturally, a symbol of trust. You do not live in the same house as your sister and her husband unless you trust them. Joseph Horner was 27 years old at the time of Victoria's death. He was employed as an elementary school music teacher in the Oceanside Union Free School District on the South Shore of Nassau County. He had, by his own school district's account, tenure. He was well regarded by his students. He was, in the words of his own defense attorney, beloved by the community. His superintendent, Dr. Phyllis Harrington, would later issue a statement in the aftermath of his arrest, describing the news as deeply disturbing, and noting that Horner had been placed on immediate administrative leave. He had met Victoria's sister in 2016. He had been dating her, then engaged to her, then married to her for the following 7 years. Victoria had been part of his life the entire time. According to what he would later tell police, sometime around 2017, 1 year after he met the woman he would eventually marry, he began developing what prosecutors have called a sexual obsession with her younger sister. 6 years of engagement, marriage, family gatherings, holidays, and shared meals passed between the beginning of that obsession and the morning of June 29, 2026. For 6 of those 9 years, Victoria was, by his own account, being watched. On the weekend of Saturday, June 27th, and Sunday, June 28th, 2026, Joseph Horner's wife left the house at 285 North Oak Street to attend a friend's bachelorette party. It was a weekend trip. She was expected back. Joseph Horner was, for the first time in a long while, alone in the upstairs apartment. His sister-in-law was, for the first time in a long while, alone in the upstairs apartment. His sister-in-law was downstairs in her own apartment going about her weekend. According to Nassau County, on the morning of Monday, June 29, 2026, he asked Victoria to come upstairs to his apartment to help him move a piano. That is the sentence this whole case turns on. Victoria Castle came upstairs. What happened in the upstairs apartment at 285 North Oak Street on the morning of June 29, 2026, is, in the words of Nassau County prosecutors during Joseph Horner's arraignment the following day, the following. Victoria Castle entered the upstairs apartment, believing she was there to help her brother-in-law move a piano. Without warning and without provocation, Joseph Horner came up behind her, placed her in a chokehold, and held her there until her body went limp. Once she was unconscious, prosecutors allege he sexually assaulted her. Once he had finished the assault, he changed his clothes. He walked into another room. He picked up his phone, and at approximately 8:44 in the morning on Monday, June 29, 26, he called 911. He told the dispatcher he needed an ambulance for a deceased female at his address. Then he walked out of the house. He sat down on the front stoop, and he waited out of the house. He sat down on the front stoop, and he waited. Nassau County police units arrived at 285 North Oak Street within minutes of the 911 call. They found Joseph Horner exactly where he had told them he would be, on the front step of his own house, calm, waiting. They found Victoria Castle unresponsive on the floor of the upstairs apartment. She was transported to a nearby hospital. She was pronounced dead at approximately 9:25 that same morning. She was 25 years old. Detective Lieutenant Daniel Steller of the Nassau County Police Department would later put it in a single sentence at a press briefing. The male caller, he said, requested police send an ambulance to this location for a deceased female. What Joseph Horner then told the officers who took him into custody, and what he repeated to detectives at the Nassau County Police Headquarters in the hours that followed, is what has made this case one of the most disturbing homicide arrests on Long Island in recent memory. He confessed. He told them he had killed her. He told them he had done it deliberately. He told them the piano had been a ruse, a story he had invented to bring her upstairs, alone, into his apartment while his wife was away. He told them that his wife, being away that weekend, had been the opportunity he was waiting for. He told them he had been waiting for that opportunity for nearly a decade. Specifically, he told them he had been sexually obsessed with his wife's younger sister since 2017. The math on that sentence is the piece of this case that has stayed with everyone who has read the court filings. Joseph Horner met his future wife in 2016. He began his relationship with Victoria's sister that year. By 2017, according to what he himself told police, he had begun to develop a sexual desire for the woman his girlfriend had brought home as her little sister from 2017 forward. According to prosecutors, he carried that desire through every stage of what appeared, from the outside, to be a normal family life, through the years of dating, through the engagement in the early 2020s, through the wedding in 2023, where Victoria Castle stood next to her sister as a bridesmaid and smiled for the photographs, through the honeymoon, through the family holidays, through the honeymoon, after the year, the trade of an upstairs and a downstairs apartment shared by 3 people, through every meal, every conversation, every knock on the door, every time Victoria came upstairs to say hello to her sister and her sister's husband. He was carrying it, according to his own admission, on the day of his own wedding, the day his new wife's younger sister stood beside her at the altar, and afterwards wrote publicly on Facebook that her sister had just married one of the most wonderful people in the world. The wedding photograph Victoria posted with that caption is still online. It is, in the days since her death, the most shared image of her on the internet. Joseph Horner's arrest and charging happened quickly. Within 24 hours of Victoria's death, he had been formally charged with second-degree murder in the state of New York, the top-tier homicide charge available to Nassau County prosecutors in the absence of specific aggravating factors that would qualify a case for first-degree murder. Second-degree murder in New York carries a maximum sentence of 25 years to life in state prison. At his arraignment on Tuesday, June 30, 2026, in Nassau District Court in Mineola, Joseph Horner pleaded not guilty. That fact, the not guilty plea, deserves a moment of explanation. In cases like this, where the defendant has confessed to police at the scene, the not guilty plea entered at arraignment is a procedural default. It is what defense attorneys do to preserve their clients' legal options going forward. It is not, at that stage, a declaration that the defendant is denying what he told the officers on the front stoop of his own house. It is a placeholder. Joseph Horner's defense attorney, Gregory Grizopoulos, has publicly acknowledged the gravity of the allegations. In a statement to News 12 Long Island in the hours after the arraignment, Grizopoulos said the allegations were very serious and disturbing, and he urged the public not to rush to judgment. He noted the contrast between the allegations and Horner's beloved reputation as a tenured elementary school music teacher. He said Horner's family, the same family, presumably, that included his wife and her murdered sister, was devastated. Nassau County District Judge issued an order at the arraignment holding Joseph Horner without bail. He signed an order of protection at the same hearing, barring him from any contact with his wife. He is due back in court today, Thursday, July 2, 2026, for the next stage of the pre-indictment proceedings. The case will, in the coming weeks, be referred to a Nassau County grand jury. If that grand jury returns a formal indictment on the second-degree murder charge, the case will move to Nassau County Superior Court for a full trial. As of the recording of this episode, that process is still in its very earliest days. There is a specific piece of this case that deserves to be sat with carefully, because it is the piece that will haunt anyone who has ever trusted somebody in their family. The years-long obsession Joseph Horner is alleged to have carried was not, according to what he himself told police, something that ever surfaced in the household. It was not something Victoria ever knew about. It was not something her sister ever knew about. It was not something the wider family ever knew about. That is what makes it, in its own particular way, one of the most disturbing aspects of the entire case. Everyone who has spoken to reporters in the days since Victoria's death has said the same thing. His defense attorney has said it. His superintendent has said it. His neighbors have said it. The parents of children he taught music to at his elementary school in Oceanside have said it. In every conversation and every statement, the phrase that keeps coming back is some version of, "We had no idea." Superintendent Dr. Phyllis Harrington's statement, released by the Oceanside Union Free School District in the 24 hours after Horner's arrest, said that the district understood the news was deeply disturbing. It noted that Nassau County authorities had informed the district that the allegations had no connection to the school or its students. It said Horner had been placed on administrative leave. It said the district was committed to maintaining a safe, professional, and trustworthy environment for its students, staff, and community. That statement is procedurally correct. It is legally necessary. It is also, in a way that nobody in Oceanside can be blamed for, cold. Because the sentence the parents of Oceanside children are actually going to be sitting with is the one that is not in the statement. That sentence is the one their own children, sitting in a school music classroom for the past several years, have been in the presence of a man who was, at the same time, carrying a nearly decade-long sexual fixation on his own sister-in-law. Nassau County Police have said, and continue to say, that there is no evidence Horner ever acted on any inappropriate interest toward any child in his classroom. The district has said the same. That is, as of the recording of this episode, the confirmed record. But the record also says that Joseph Horner spent 9 years of his adult life carrying a secret so complete that his own wife did not know. His own sister-in-law did not know. For 9 years, Joseph Horner was by every outward measure one of the most wonderful people in the world. The people who live closest to him, downstairs from him, upstairs with him, next door to him, are the ones who trusted him the most. And it was the person who trusted him the most. And it was the person who trusted him inside his own house, who came upstairs at his own request, on a Monday morning to help him with a piano, who paid the price. That is the pattern that makes this case a case, and not a headline, because the sentence that keeps traveling through domestic violence advocacy spaces on Long Island, in the days since Victoria's death, is the sentence that women in crisis have been trying to make the American public understand for decades. Most women who are killed by people they know. Most sexual violence is committed by people the victim trusts. The stranger in the alleyway with the knife is the version of danger everyone plans for. The brother-in-law with the piano is the version of danger no one plans for. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, approximately 1 in 3 women murdered in the United States is killed by an intimate or family-connected male. According to the Department of Justice's Bureau of Justice Statistics, the overwhelming majority of sexual assaults are committed by somebody the victim already knows. This case is not, statistically, an outlier. It is statistically. Victoria Castle was a doctoral student in the Geosciences. She was smart. She was ambitious. She was building a career that would have, in another decade, made her a leading researcher in her field. She was, in the words her family have used since her death, a promising life. She was the little sister-in-law of a man she loved and lived above. She was, by every conceivable rational calculation of where danger was likely to come from in her life, safe. She came upstairs to help move a piano. In the days since Victoria Castle's death, her family has, by every available account, retreated into private grief. They have not made public statements. They have not appeared in front of cameras. They have not, as many families in similar circumstances have, given interviews to network morning shows, or set up a GoFundMe, or held a public vigil. The reasons for that are, when you think about it for a moment, obvious. The family in this case is the same family as the alleged killer's family. Victoria's sister was married to Joseph Horner. Victoria's parents are Joseph Horner's in-laws, the extended Castle family on Long Island and in the surrounding tri-state area, are the same people who had spent 3 years welcoming Joseph Horner into their weddings, their holidays, their Sunday dinners. Their grief for Victoria is running through a person who, until Monday morning, they had considered one of their own. That is a category of grief the public conversation is not equipped to talk about. Well, the Castle family are not saying anything publicly. The people around the family are asking that their privacy be respected. Both the Nassau County District Attorney's Office and Stony Brook University have released only the narrowest of official statements. The Nassau County DA's office has declined to comment beyond the record made at the arraignment. Stony Brook University has said only that it is deeply saddened by the loss of Victoria Castle, that it extends its heartfelt condolences to her family, friends, classmates, faculty mentors, and all who knew and cared for her, and that it is committed to supporting those across the university community as they grieve. There will, in the weeks and months to come, be more statements. There will be an indictment. There will, in all likelihood, be a trial. Joseph Horner's confession to police, if it is admitted at trial, which is not automatic in a New York State prosecution, will be one of the most powerful pieces of evidence a Nassau County jury has been shown in years. If convicted on the second-degree murder charge alone, he faces a sentence of up to 25 years to life in New York State prison. Additional charges related to the alleged sexual assault could, prosecutors have indicated, be added by the grand jury in the coming weeks. The full evidentiary picture is still being assembled. For now, this case sits where the very earliest days of a modern American homicide case always sit. A young woman is dead. Her killer has been arrested. His confession is on the record. His defense lawyer has entered a not guilty plea to preserve his procedural options. His employer has placed him on administrative leave. His face has been on the front page of local news in the tri-state area for 3 days. And a family on Long Island is trying to figure out how to grieve a daughter who was killed by a son-in-law they had loved. That is the sentence Victoria Castle's Facebook post from 2023 has become in retrospect. She had written that her sister had married one of the most wonderful people in the world. She had meant it. Everybody who had read it at the time had believed it. Joseph Horner had built exactly the kind of life around himself that made a sentence like that read as true. And underneath it, according to what he himself told Nassau County detectives on the day he killed her, was 9 years of a lie so completely maintained that the person he eventually killed had, at his own wedding, called him wonderful, in front of an audience of everyone he knew. That is the piece of this case that will be studied for a long time, not because it is unusual, because it is not unusual, but because it happened, this time, in a way that was documented in real time on the platform where the victim had, only 3 years earlier, publicly told the world what she thought of the person who would eventually kill her. Victoria Castle was 25 years old. She was a doctoral candidate in the Geosciences at Stony Brook University. She was somebody's little sister. She was somebody's daughter. She was somebody's colleague. She was somebody's bridesmaid. She was somebody's research partner. She was, by every measure, a young woman at the beginning of something extraordinary. She was killed by the person she trusted most in the household she had chosen to live in. If you are listening to this episode and something about it has made a small alarm go off in your own life, please pay attention to that alarm. If somebody in your family or somebody in your inner circle or somebody in your household has ever made you feel unsafe in a way you have not been able to name, please tell somebody. Please tell a friend outside the family. Please call the National Sexual Assault Hotline in the United States, run by the Rape Briefs and International Network. That is 1-866-HOPE. That is 1-800-66. It is confidential. You do not need proof. You only need the willingness to speak the thing you have been trying not to speak. Victoria Castle's death is the version of this story that ends on the floor of an upstairs apartment on North Oak Street. There are hundreds of other versions of this story every year in the United States, and most of them do not end that way. Most of them end quietly, in survival, because somebody made the phone call. That's all we have for you on this episode. Thank you so much for being here, for caring about Victoria's story, and for being the kind of person who is willing to sit with a case this hard. Until next time, look out for the people you love, and stay safe.